Gotta get into the groove.
All right, welcome to Let Freedom Ring. My guest, a two-time guest of Let Freedom Ring, Rich Berklund. Rich, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Glad I got to come back.
Before I get into it, I just want to give a big shout out to my boy Nate Dogg, Nate Kersting. He has been in the ICU with COVID, but he should be getting out soon. Again, guys, wear your mask, be smart. He did all the right things. He still contracted it. But he's going to be out soon. So get well, Nate. We love you, buddy. But yeah, let's get into it a little bit, Rich. So how have you been since your last appearance?
I've been good. It's been what 7 months. Still working from home, living the dream. Spend every day looking outside my window, going, God, I wish I could get back to the office because I know I'm driving my wife nuts.
I hear you. I hear you. The working from remote. I mean, I've adapted. I will say that now we're back into winter.
Yep.
It's getting hard. It's getting harder, especially with the days. Lights gone at 4:30.
Yeah.
So that has been a challenge.
Yeah. What's interesting is my wife bought me it's called the Verilux light. It
Mhm.
simulates the sun. I run it for 45 minutes a day. It's fantastic.
Oh, really?
Yep.
You'll have to send me the link to that
Yeah.
after the show.
Yeah, I will. She sent it. She got it to me. She got it for me for Christmas on Amazon. It's like $30, dude. It's wicked cool.
Oh, I'll have to check that out because I am a person that loves sunlight. I'm a
Me too.
spring, fall guy. Winter, I'm a New England guy, so I deal with it.
Yeah.
But we when we last had you on the show, I mean, we were both kind of at our wits' end, wanting to get out. It was getting nicer.
Yep.
Wanted to be on the softball field, and we had the opportunity to do that. So, how did your summer and fall go for you?
It went really well. I did get to play softball. We got most of our tournaments off this year, so that was fantastic. I think the only one we missed was Queen City Classic, so that's not bad. We still got 5 tournaments in this year, and it felt so good to get out on the field. The one thing I did realize though is that long of a layoff. The older you get, the harder it gets.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I'm 36 and I'm starting to, I realize I gotta start doing more.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think the first, because I started running that little the pickup league there, but we hadn't done much, and I played in the Stars and Stripes, so that was one of the first things I think I had done.
Yeah.
Ball wise, and it was kind of surreal. I'm not gonna lie, being there for the first time because we had started to not be as paranoid about it, and like when I first got there, I was like, and then as you hang out for a bit, you're like, yeah, okay, I guess we're outside.
We're doing okay. I mean, we still, the nice thing is, if people wanted to wear masks, people weren't getting down on them for it. Was a personal preference for some people, and most people did a really good job, I think, of staying, being socially distanced, and but still hanging out. So that was, to me, that's what I liked is, on tournament days I get to spend all day, and I do complain that it's hard, but the nice thing is I was around other people. I was able to, give my wife some time away from me and get out on the ball field and have a little bit of fun. I did umpire one tournament. That's always an adventure. It was a lot of fun, but it was cold that day. That was cold turkey, and man, the nice thing is this was the first year we didn't have mud on the field, and down at what's the name of the field? Skips my brain. Down in Merrimack. So it was nice.
Yeah, Martell.
Yeah. It just man, when that sun went down, it just got cold.
Yeah, and that's a fun tournament because that's like there's not many tournaments going on at mid-November, so it's cool to get out there still. I played in that too. Had a blast. I think I played in that several times now.
Yeah, I think you did. I think you got most of them this year.
Yeah. So always a good time doing that. How you surviving the snow? I mean, we got hit pretty hard today.
I love the snow. I grew up in Montana, so you seeing a lot of snow doesn't really bother me. I do like it. but I'm like you. I'm a sun guy, so when the sun goes down at 4 o'clock, I'm not happy. But like right now, I'm looking out my window, and in the mornings I get to get up and look out the window and see all that fresh snow, and so it doesn't bother me too much as long as it doesn't get frigid cold and the wind's not blowing and drifting. I'm good. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm cool with the snow for a little bit. Like right now, not too bothered by it. It's January that I start to be like, okay, come
Yeah,
on now,
yeah.
you know.
Last year was February because we do that Heartbreakers tournament in February, and every year, we've had something different happen before it. So yeah, by then I'm done. I'm like, all right, enough with the snow. We're starting to play softball. Let's get rid of the snow and let's start playing ball.
Yeah, that'd be great. I definitely want to play in that. I mean, there was one year I was gonna play, and that's the year I tore my rotator cuff and had to have surgery. So
Right.
that wasn't gonna. I think I had surgery like the same week as the
Yeah,
tournament.
that's my
Uh,
second favorite tournament of the year. That one right there.
Yeah, you know what is someone that I love softball. I play a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's cool when you get to do the tournaments that are different, and I think you guys do something very cool with the cold. I know for a fact the cold turkey is one of the more unique things because you have those tickets and
Yep.
you can do cool things. And then the fact that you're playing in February is another cool thing because when does
Yeah.
that happen? You
People are
know?
like, "You guys are idiots. What are you doing?" And every year when it's over, we say, "We're not doing it again next year. We're not doing it
Yeah,
again next year." And then cold turkey comes around, like, "All right, when are we doing Heartbreakers?
yeah,
What are the dates for next year?" So it's a good time,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
a
You
small
gotta,
tournament.
yeah,
That's what I like. It's 8 teams. I think this year we might expand to 12, but that's it. So it's easy. They're real easy to manage, and people have a good time.
yeah.
You know.
And that's the whole point of playing. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people need to understand that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Just go out and have some fun. It's okay to have fun and let your hair down. Be a little competitive, but it's okay to have fun.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It's going to take us into current events now. First thing on, Gronk and Floyd Mayweather are being sued for a fraudulent teeth whitening company. Both had endorsed it, sold it, said that they used it themselves, said it was great. Turns out it doesn't work. They're getting sued. What are your thoughts on that?
It's interesting because you bring up Mayweather. The guy's got more money than he's ever going to spend in his whole life. Gronk's
Oh
the same
yeah,
way. You read about Gronk. He's very savvy with his money. He's stashed all his paychecks. He lives off his endorsements. There's sometimes when the best thing to do is to say, you know what, we sold this. It doesn't work. You know, just eat it instead of going through the circus that they're going to go through now because they lose and they're going to lose some credibility. And I know a lot of people really don't like Mayweather that much anyway, but Gronk is he's got a personality, and a lot of people look up to him and kind of idolize him, and that just kind of tarnishes it a little bit.
yeah. I think that could hurt him. This might go swept under the rug. I mean,
It probably
Mayweather's had he's had so much heat on him over the years.
Oh yeah.
That he probably doesn't even care about this.
No, because
Um,
he'll just pay his lawyers to make it go away.
yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, we're gonna get into his because he's gonna fight Logan Paul. We're gonna talk about Jake Paul at some point in the show, but these two YouTubers. Just staying on topic here. What I understand that Mayweather is older, but what's the like? I don't want to see this. I do like the spectacle fights. This one, no.
No, it's just feeding his ego. I mean,
Yeah,
we all know he's got a huge ego. I mean, look what he did when he fought. Oh, the
McGregor.
yeah. Look at all the pomp and circumstance around that, and it just gets to the point where it's like, you know, it tarnishes the sport. I mean, I'm not a big boxing guy anyway. I was
Yeah,
back when Muhammad Ali and George Foreman, and then the beginning of with Mike Tyson, but I kind of got away from it. Um, so now it's just there's just to me there's just no need for it. I mean, I think even at 65 years old, Mayweather could probably clean somebody's clock.
yeah,
So what are you trying to prove, that you can beat some guy that really doesn't have any boxing experience because he gave you a little bit of attitude, and you want to prove who you are? I mean, the bigger man would be like, you know what, dude, I'm just gonna let it go.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think this goes back into he'll do anything to get paid though, because he
Yeah. Oh
admit
yeah.
when he fought Connor. Now, if he would have fought McGregor in the UFC, no way does he
No.
win that. But
No.
in a boxing match, I mean, looking back on that fight, he just carried McGregor until he let him hit him, knowing he
Yeah.
couldn't knock him out. And then he said, all right, final round, I'll just knock him out. And he
Yeah.
said, yeah, I wanted to make it more entertaining than the Pacquiao fight. Yeah, because you were boxing someone who doesn't box. Of course you
Yeah.
could carry them. You were afraid that
Exactly.
Pacquiao would knock you out, you know? So,
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
yeah. So, yeah, well, we'll see what happens with that. I wouldn't pay to see that if I'm sure it'll be on YouTube at some point.
Oh yeah.
Um, Sticking to COVID now, it's all starting to hit us.
Mhm.
I opened up the show. Good friend of mine in the ICU. Luckily, he's gonna be. He's got. It sounds like he's gonna be okay.
Right.
But we had our largest 1 day death toll in the state of New Hampshire now at 21. 21 people died of COVID in 1 day. Now, people might be like, "Well, that's a pretty significant number," I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Um, what are we doing the right things, or is this just going to happen until we get this straightened out? I mean, with the
I,
vaccine is here now, but who knows?
I think the biggest problem is that we've been in this pandemic for so long, and then we get into the holidays, and people are like, you know what, I'm done. I've been
Yeah,
doing everything I'm supposed to do. I've been social distancing. I've been wearing my mask. I stayed away from grandma and grandpa. It's the holidays, and I'm gonna go have Thanksgiving dinner with my family, and you're not gonna tell me that I can't. Okay, so you go do that, and then somebody gets sick, and you know. I don't know because my mother-in-law, unfortunately, um, is in ICU right now in California. Um,
okay,
she's on a ventil. They put her on a ventilator today. She lives in a assisted living center. They had no cases, and then one day they had 49, and then the next
yeah,
day they had 90 something, and they traced it back to a staff member. A staff member had to, went to a Thanksgiving party with her family, and now I stand the chance that my mother-in-law is 80 years old. I stand the chance of losing my mother-in-law because somebody had to go, was tired of it. I'm tired of it too. I want if my mother-in-law passes, I'm not going to get on a plane, and neither is my wife because we don't want to take that chance. I don't, you
yeah,
know, I don't want to get sick. I don't want my wife to get sick. I don't want my child to get sick. So, I mean, we do everything that we can, and I know people are tired. I know you're tired. I'm tired, but you know, my health is a hell of a lot more important. And so, I guess part of it too is, I was in the military and I spent a lot of time away from my family during the holidays. So, I call my mom, I call my dad, I call my brother and sister, we talk. That has to be acceptable.
yeah.
And I just think it's selfish when people do that. I don't, it drives me crazy because we were doing so well. We were like at 87 cases a day, which isn't bad. And now, one time last week there was over 1,000. It's like,
Yeah.
and I think people just honestly, I think people are tired, and I get it. I'm tired of it too. But if we don't start getting back to that, we're going to lose a lot more people. A lot more people are going to get sick. And the thing that we don't know is the long term effects. So, like your buddy, thank God he's going to be okay. But how's it going to affect him 5 years from now?
Yeah.
Or this summer if he's playing softball and he's running, is he going to be short of breath? Is he going to have weird things that never happened to him before? That's what we don't know. We don't know what the long term effects of this disease are. So
That's that's a great point. That's not talked about a lot.
no, because
What
people bring up the numbers. Oh well, if you get the flu, this that, and the mortality rate's 0.009%. Why is it such a big deal? Blah blah blah. We know with the flu, when you get over it, you're over it and you're done. With
Yeah.
this, we don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, if you have it now, you don't know in 5 years what it's going to do to you. I mean, it's literally killing people that are perfectly healthy, that have
Yeah.
no underlying conditions and they're dying.
That's the scariest part about it is
Yeah.
that you just don't know, and it feels like there's just different strands of this, and then there was a debate of, depending on your blood type, this could affect you differently, and all these
Yeah.
other things. We just don't really know,
Nope.
and it's tough because we're this close.
Hmm.
We're this close to, Dr. Fauci says he expects to see some normalcy by the summer. And, but then you also have the people now. You hear stories about, in the UK where a couple people that took it developed Bell's palsy, but I don't know if it was permanent and some other things. So people are nervous to get this vaccine. I mean, I have friends, that have commented on all I did was I shared
Yeah.
that it was kind of, and they're like, I'm not doing that. Okay, whatever. That's not why I shared it. It's just,
Yeah.
Do you think, do they have a point? Are they being selfish, or is there a good reason to be hesitant of this
Well,
vaccine?
well, I think there is. I think it's like twofold. I think you should be hesitant in any medication you take. I mean, what's the first thing you do when you've never taken a medication before? You go to the pharmacist, and the pharmacist tells you, "Here's the 987 things that might happen to you." But you know
Yep.
what? You take it anyway because you're like, okay, the risk outweigh the reward outweighs the risk. So when the vaccine comes out, yeah, as with anything, when people get the flu shot every year, but they still get the flu because it's a different strain. I think it's just common sense says, you know, do what you feel is right for you. I'm not gonna look down on people if they don't get the vaccine. I'm not gonna tell people you can't be my friend if you don't get the vaccine. But just make sure that you're informing yourself, and you're not just going with the mentality of the Constitution says I don't have to get this shot. No, the Constitution doesn't say that. It says
Yeah.
you have the freedom to make up your own mind. So make up your mind, make your decision, and stick with it. But don't don't nail the people that do get it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and you're right. The other thing with the vaccine is they've really pushed it fast. So we don't
Yep.
know everything that's going to happen. So yeah, yeah, I'm hesitant to do it, but I'm going to do it because I would much rather, come out on the other side and not have to go through this shit.
And the other point, like we're not like people like us. I mean, I know me. I'll be one of the last people to get it. I'm not one
Yeah.
of the people on the list there. The other thing is like you get this such mob mentality on this
Hmm.
thing where
Yeah.
I'm seeing posts on Facebook who's like, I absolutely believe in mandatory vaccine, this and that, and then you have the people that are like, no, you can't
Yeah.
tell me to do that, and it's like you have these two groups where I'm like, take the information, make up your mind. We do have, I mean, there is, and a lot of these people, because you have the anti-vaxxer movement,
Oh yes.
which is kind of can be a little bit scary. I don't think all these people that are saying they don't want this vaccine fall into that
Right.
category.
Yeah.
You know,
They're it's more of the because you're making me do it. It's you're making me do this, so I'm not going to do it.
yeah, yeah,
And, and that's their like I said, that's their personal choice. But don't get on people that get it, and the people that get it shouldn't be getting on the people that don't get it.
yeah. No, I agree. And then you have still a small fraction of the population that just believes that COVID is total BS and not really a thing. And it's crazy that we've been in this that long and they still feel that way.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Uh,
I'm with I'm with you.
you know,
It's even people that have
so
gotten it. Like I follow a lot of people on a lot of veterans and stuff on Instagram, and some of these guys have gotten it and recovered from it and still don't believe they had it.
it's
That's what they were told.
wild.
It's like, okay, whatever.
It is absolutely wild. I tell you this, I hope I live to be like 80 years old and I can someday be like, I lived through this.
Yeah.
You got to hear what this was like, it's
Yep.
just
I
wild.
made it. I made it through. This is what I lived through. So good luck, Junior.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with you.
Uh, that's going to take us into politics,
Oh,
and we just had our election about
yep.
well over a month ago now. Um, Biden is our next president, but Trump he's getting rejected in all the courts.
Hmm.
Told to just like, dude, there's nothing. He's now saying that he has new evidence of voter fraud. Um, we think Trump has anything here, or are we just burnt out with him?
I think it's this way. I think you have a man who wants to win at any cost and does not want to accept failure, does not want to accept defeat. You know, I've always told my kids, you know, winning is fantastic, but when you lose, be gracious in it. Say,
Yeah.
you know what, he would get. I think a lot of people's opinions of him would change if he just came out and said, you know what, I lost. You know, I had my 4 years. I lost. You know, Mr. Biden, I hope you do. You know, I hope you do a fantastic job, and just go out quiet. But this, you know, all he's doing is cementing his legacy, and pardon my language, of being a complete asshole. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not going to lie. In 2016, I voted for him because I wanted to. I voted for somebody who was not a career politician. I thought, okay, this guy's going to do a fantastic job in some areas, like my 401k. I couldn't be happier, dude. That thing has grown leaps and bounds. In other areas, though, it's like, oh my god, dude, just shut up, just be
Yeah.
quiet. You don't need to
Yeah.
tweet that. You don't need to tweet everything. Be be the leader that you said you were going to be,
Yeah.
and he's not done that. And I think a lot of people in America, you had a lot of people just had enough. If he would have, I think if he would have just, been quiet and just done his job, I think he would have got reelected. But I mean, everything is such an issue with this. I mean, he makes everything such an issue. It's ridiculous.
No, he truly does. And now with this, it's like, I mean, there's just been a lot of foolish things. I look back at what is his legacy going to be? A lot of people, like you said, a lot of people are like, yeah, I did well financially when Trump was president. Okay. But then it's like he's in a debate telling Biden his mask is too big,
Yeah.
and then he gets COVID the same week. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
what is going to be written in the history books? Or is this just going to be such a small blip on the radar because he only had 4 years? That is this just going to be like we just move on, happened, or like I don't know.
I don't know because people. It's you have the people that stand by him no matter what. Um,
Yes.
I think they're not gonna let it be just a blip. They're gonna they have an agenda. They're gonna push that agenda as long and far as they can. And that's unfortunate. I personally wish he would have done a better job. I wish he would have handled the pandemic better. He, when your president comes out and says that this is just a conspiracy, that doesn't work with me. I mean,
Yeah.
personally think what you personally think in your own home and you say in your own home is your own business. But when you're
Yeah.
the leader of the greatest nation in the free world, you can't say things like that because you lose credibility with a lot of people.
Yeah. No, he did. I mean, I remember back in April, he's just like, this will just disappear. And it's just going to be, and
Yeah.
I was like, I wish, I sit there and go, man, what are you basing that off? And yeah, I wish you were right,
Yeah.
but you're not giving me any reasons to why you even think that,
No.
which kind of made it even more comical.
Yeah.
I think, he should, he's never going to concede or anything like that. He's going to have he's going to have some kind of network or TV show or something. And in all honesty, his family, I don't think they're going away. They're going to be around now for a
Yeah.
while. So
I think so too.
we'll be curious to see how that goes, but at least we know this part we made it through.
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly. And I, honestly, I hope that Biden, lives up to what he says he's going to do. We'll see. I mean, that's all we can ever do, right? I mean, they say what they're going to do, and we give them the opportunity, and let's hope that they do it. Let's hope that he does. And if not,
well,
then you look 4 years down the road and find some, hope for the next person.
but in the end, what did Biden really say he was going to do? I mean, it was really came down to either you just don't want Trump anymore, and this is the other this is the other option.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. You can have this guy who won't shut up, or you can have this guy who doesn't really talk a lot. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm a diehard Republican. I've been registered Republican since birth. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Mitch.
And I hope it goes well.
Yeah, I'm not too. It is what it is. We're gonna move forward. And I have found it very interesting that a lot of people, I've seen this on a lot of political pages, that like, well, the Republicans just really didn't do a good job in this election. I go, they did good in everything they were great in everything else. They won all these other elections. It was him.
Yeah, it's
It
the
was not
national
the.
stage.
I obviously I'm not. I lean left, but I don't think the Republicans had a bad election.
No.
Donald Trump did.
Yeah, he did.
So compared to Joe, because I mean, he's still a lot of people voted for Trump.
Oh yeah.
But
This election had record turnout. It was, I mean,
yeah,
so that tells you something when what over 140 million people voted. I mean, that's incredible.
yeah, and I mean, I think we need to move. I think mail-in voting. I don't have a problem with mail-in voting. I know there's a lot of people that do. We need to get into a point sometime in this society where we make it so easy.
Hmm.
Where we have all this intelligence. We have a device that I can literally do my everything on.
Yeah,
Taxes, pay my bill. You're telling me we can't make an app where everybody just clicks on the day of election day and
and we're
that's
done.
it?
Yeah,
You know?
I,
So be interesting.
I'm
You
with you.
know.
I'm with you.
Mitch McConnell finally has recognized that Joe Biden is the president elect. Did he take too long, or is that just how they were going to play it?
Personally, Mitch McConnell to me is a clown.
Yeah,
He knew that he knew what he had to do something because he's been in Congress. I don't know 3,000 years, I think.
yeah,
So he knew, he did it to save face. To me, I don't, it would have been, I think, to me, it would have been more meaningful once they said, Mr. Biden is now the president elect. If it would have reached out then, but he kind of held off and held back a little bit, and I think he only did it to save face because he realized that, that's what he has to do because now, this is the person he has to work with for the next 4 years, and I think you're going to see. We've seen a lot of people do that now. Kind of now that the election's over, they've kind of ditched Trump, and they're working their way back to, they know he's not going to be the president, so they don't have to worry about campaign, money for campaigning and all that stuff. So, they're getting back into their doing what they're supposed to do for people.
yeah. I mean, I think you're right, and they're going to have to figure something out. And I do think that give it once President Trump is out, they're gonna. I think he's gonna get buried pretty hard by a lot of people, a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
Republicans,
oh
a
yeah, they're
lot
gonna.
of them.
Well, yeah, because if you remember correctly, in 20 when he started his campaign,
Oh
2014,
yeah,
he wanted to be on. Been a lifelong Democrat,
yeah,
and they said we're pushing Hillary Clinton. We're sorry, so but you can't be an independent. So he
yeah.
registered as he had to sign that document and he registered as a Republican. So yeah, I think that once this is over and he's out of office, you're gonna have a lot of people that are gonna come out of the woodwork that are gonna say a lot of different things now that he's not in control.
And he has bounced between the parties because a lot of people don't know this. The first George Bush looked
Yep.
at him as a vice president potential. Way back when, and I know Trump had been part of this third party at one point too. I can't
Yeah.
remember the name of it. So
Yeah.
he's just kind of. I don't think whatever benefits him.
Yep.
I think is where he went, and he saw the easiest road to the White House through the Republican Party,
Yeah.
and it's going to be interesting. Again, he's going to have his base, he's going to have his rallies. Where that goes, I don't know. If
I
he
don't
wants
either.
to rerun in 2024, he's going to be elderly. He already is kind of, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Um,
have no idea.
yeah, I wish I had a crystal ball. New York, no more indoor dining. It's killing small businesses
Oh yeah.
across the country. This is a big thing, and we know how it spreads. There's points to why that's happening, but the government is not helping.
No.
They're not doing anything. These people are going under. They're losing their livelihoods. I don't think there's a simple answer, but is there anything that can really be done? I mean, it just sucks to see all these people lose everything.
I honestly, there is not an easy answer. I think if and I'm going to go back to this. If this president would have handled this pandemic differently, I don't think we would see such the effect that we've seen. It was
Yeah.
mishandled from the very beginning. A lot of accusations, a lot of promises, a lot of it's nothing to worry about. I think if it would have been handled different, I think we would see that. I mean, it's sad when I drive by T-Bones. I don't eat there, but they have a sign that says, we have NASA grade ventilation that kills 99.7 percent of the virus. I mean, it's sad that they have to advertise that, and
Yeah.
and it sucks, that people are losing their livelihoods. I mean, I feel horrible for them. I mean, that's the last thing I want to see is people, people that are in the restaurant business do it because they love it, you
Yep.
know, or small businesses. I mean, I have a friend of mine in Arizona. He owns a small business. Luckily, it's a feed store, and so everybody needs to feed. But I mean, even they took hits. They were taking hits because not that they had to close, but they couldn't let people in their store. So it made it very difficult for them. So yeah, I wish there was an easy answer. I wish they, you could say that the government's going to bail them out and write them checks, but then when you get into that aspect, we've already heard there was already a lot of fraud where people were getting these government the assistant loans, and they were
Yep.
doing stupid shit with it, and they weren't doing what they were supposed to. So it makes it kind of hard to come back to that and say, okay, well, we're going to start doing this, for you. So I don't know. I feel horrible. I mean, we still, when we eat out, we don't dine in, we do take out. So we're doing our best to try to, keep people afloat, and that's all we
Uh,
can do.
no, that's true. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't in a little while, but I have gone into places where I don't know, like so it kind of brings me to Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports. He put out this lengthy video, and I've been very critical of Portnoy, who I do like Barstool, but he said some dumb things like election night, saying you gotta have to follow Trump. He won. It's like, dude, do you know
Yeah,
how elections work? This isn't over.
yeah,
Um, but anyways, he kind of came out and said, New York's doing this, but where he goes, people are aware of the virus. They are wearing masks when they go in there. They are distancing the tables. The business owners are doing. I mean, they're still taking a hit doing that. So that he felt like they were doing the right thing. Now, I'm glad I don't live in New York City.
yeah,
I'd
no doubt.
probably be more nervous about it than going to the Thirsty Moose down the street in Merrimack. Okay,
Right.
but so he was kind of pointing out that he goes, this just isn't fair. It just isn't fair.
Yeah.
So I kind of agree with him there that if we are aware of this virus, so if you want to stay in, you can stay in. You have that option.
Yep.
But anyways, Barstool is starting a small business fund. He kind of got called out because like, you're doing these rants, you're a
Yep.
multi-millionaire. What are you
What
doing?
are you doing?
So
Yeah.
there's so he started a small business fund. Do you think that could be? It should more celebrities per se be doing stuff like that. I'm not saying they have to, but
Right.
it would be nice to see that.
It would be, it would be very nice to see that, like those people that have the disposable income, instead of sitting in their pretty houses and complaining, go out and do something. And I know that a lot of them do. I mean,
Yeah.
but I think there's there is more that can be done. At that level. I mean, celebrities want to be involved in politics. They come out, and I mean, The Rock supported Joe Biden, and what the hell's his name? Angelina Jolie's dad. I mean, he's a Trump guy. So
Oh God. Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
put your money where your mouth is, and go out and say,
Yeah.
okay, we know these businesses are struggling. Let's create these funds and let's fund
John
them.
Voight.
Yes,
That's what.
John Voight. Thank you. Let's
Yeah.
let's do what we can do. Let's use our celebrity to try to make it better. I I would love that. I would think that would be fantastic. But unfortunately, they kind of come out of the woodwork when they want to, and then they kind of disappear when they want to. And it's like it would be nice to see them do more. It really would.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see a lot more from, we are in a class system here in the United States now.
Oh yeah.
And it is, and I think capitalism is the way that it's the only way that we can really function. Can we have a
Right.
little bit of democratic socialism? I wouldn't say a ton, but we could have some of it. But further to the point, I feel like the United States is better when people come together
Yeah.
other than just be like me. So
Mhm.
if you did have it, this is a time to like come out of the woodwork and be like,
Hey.
I want to help these people that are losing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about this country too. That's great is you don't have to, but
Have
you'd
to.
like to see that in the American spirit.
I'm with you.
You know,
Yeah.
so
And what's interesting is a lot of the people that come out to do those things are the people like you and me. We don't have
yeah,
tons and tons and tons of expendable money that we can just throw around. So we do as much as we can.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I definitely would like to see more of that.
No, I agree, and I'd like to, a fund like that or anything. I try to donate to things like that. Just even if the little amount that I can do, but if everybody's doing their little part,
Yeah,
we can all really help each other.
exactly.
Um, all right, it's gonna take us into fan questions. First one from
Sure.
my childhood neighbor, Kevin Nix, who I don't think I've seen in a long time. He asks, "How does the movie Down Periscope, what is it? Oh, score on a submarine accuracy? Is that movie? I've never seen it.
Like a negative 100. That is
Okay,
one of the most horrible movies ever made. I like it. Kelsey Grammer's in it. He's funny. It's not anywhere close to a real depiction of a submarine. Not even.
so so it's a comedy. I didn't even
Oh
know.
yeah, it's straight up comedy. It's funny. I mean, at one point something breaks and the lady takes off her bra and they use the bra to make the piece of equipment work. I mean, it's just a silly movie. And if you ever just want to have a good laugh for 5 minutes, you put it on.
All right. I might have to check it out. I'm trying to see more movies that I haven't seen before.
Yeah,
Um, Anthony Amato has two questions. The first one, and I want to make sure that it was appropriate for the show.
it is.
Anthony tends to ask interesting questions each
Yeah.
week, but he'd like to know who's your daddy.
So let me tell you the story behind that. So it was what 3 4 years ago playing softball. I was having a horrible day, completely horrible day. Um, Me and this 19, well, whatever, 21-year-old kid start jawing back and forth. And you know how young kids can be. They're cocky, they're arrogant. This kid
Oh yeah.
definitely did not respect his elders whatsoever. Um, I was up to bat. I struck out. Or I hit a ball to him. I don't remember. And he looked at me and he made some rude comment. So I made a gesture, not with my finger, but I grabbed a certain part of my anatomy and I said, "Who's your daddy?" Well, that was the number one stupid thing. And then later, like 2 innings later, this freaking kid, he's like 6'3", like 220. He hit a mushy ball like 400 feet. He just crushed this ball, and this little turd waffle comes out of the dugout and goes, "Who's your daddy now?"
Oh
Well,
God.
dude, I lost it. Off came my glove. I started walking over there. I was going to take on the whole dugout. My team, who's on the field, they just stand there. They're all looking at me like, "Well, here goes Rich."
Yeah.
Steve Dovich literally jumped over the fence to grab me,
Oh
to
God.
hold me back because I was going, and this kid was just running his mouth. And then his little buddy comes running over, and I'm like, "What are you gonna do? You don't even weigh as much as my left leg. Get out of here. I'll knock your block off too." And the kid that hit the home run, he just kind of stood there, was like, "Whatever."
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with him. I had a problem with the kid, and then I go to pitch, and Chip kicks me out, and he goes, "You're done." And so that just tripped me off even more. I got even madder. I'm like, "I can't believe you booted me. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do
Yeah.
anything wrong. I didn't push anybody, but it was the right call on his part." So that's where the "Who's your daddy" comes from. So the guys like to give me a hard time about it. A lot of people were there, saw it, and they laughed, and I laugh about it now too.
Yeah, and sometimes in the heat of the moment, people react a certain way. As long as it sounds like everybody was safe at the end of the day.
They
Uh,
were.
that's was now was Anthony on your team or was he just
No,
watching?
he was there. I think they had the game after us.
Yeah,
I don't remember why he was there, but it
yeah.
was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. The
I
only
mean,
time
in all
I've
the
ever
years,
been
I mean,
kicked out of a softball game ever.
oh really? So
Yeah.
okay, I've yet to ever be kicked out. myself, but I've never really. I don't know if I've got into it, but not anything. I've never gone towards a dugout. I will say
Oh yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, my mitt was straight up in the air, and I was on my way to the dugout. I was like, I was having it was just having a bad. It was a bad moment. My wife was still in Arizona. I was lonely. I was missing her like crazy. It
Yeah.
was just and I had I think it was right. It was that same year that I had my car accident, so it would have been 2016, and I was still suffering from that. Um, so yeah, it was tough.
Perfect storm type of
Yep,
thing.
yep.
Anthony also wants to know: do you have a top 10 favorite Christmas movies?
I don't really have a top 10. I have the ones that I watch every year. My ultimate favorite Christmas movie is Elf.
Okay.
I absolutely love that movie. I go every year, at least watch it at least once. And then you have the classics like It's a Wonderful Life and Miracle on 34th Street. And then I would have to say, um, and I think like my number four, and it's not really a Christmas movie. We talk about this all the time, but man, I love Die Hard. And I
Oh,
love the
yeah.
fact that it takes place on
During
Christmas
Christmas.
Eve. I did,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we watch that every year too. So, yeah, I don't have a top 10. I have a top four, maybe five. Scrooged is in there as well with
Yeah, like because
Bill Murray.
with anything Bill Murray though, I mean,
Yeah,
it's hard. I tried to make a list and I realized like I don't have that many that I really love because I'm like if you got into like Halloween's like my holiday, right?
yeah,
4th of July is like my holiday. I like Christmas, but those are my favorite. So
yeah.
I think I could only come up with now. It's a Wonderful Life is not only my favorite Christmas movie, it's probably my top one or two favorite movie of all time because
Wow.
it's so perfect. It's a perfect film. The whole story is like unbelievable. Um, which is weird because when it first came out, it wasn't successful. Now
Yeah,
look
isn't
at
that
how
weird?
much tradition it has.
Oh yeah,
Uh, um, but then I love the Muppets Christmas Carol. I love the soundtrack to that is fantastic. And the only other one I could really think of was Surviving Christmas, and it has Ben Affleck. And I think the only reason I love this movie is because I'm a huge Sopranos fan. I know
ah,
everybody knows that's no secret, and James Gandolfini is in that movie.
yeah,
So I love James Gandolfini.
yep.
I love Surviving Christmas. It's not a great movie, but I will watch it.
Hey,
Um,
it's personal preference, my friend.
yep,
Personal
for
preference.
sure. All right. Well, that's going to take us into sports. Now, we talked
Sure.
about Logan Paul, but he's got a younger brother who, honestly, when the fight happened a few weeks ago, you had Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah.
But the undercard was Nate Robinson versus Jake Paul. I thought Logan Paul and Jake Paul were the same person. I didn't know that they were brothers. So
Yeah.
I just assumed it was like him. But Jake Paul is going on social media and calling out Conor McGregor, calling out Dana White, to even the point where McGregor's rival Nate Diaz is calling this guy out. Jake Paul, clown is this just like the total clown of all time or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah. He what he wants is he wants his 15 minutes of fame,
Yeah.
and it's sad that he's using that platform to get it. I mean, I thought it was like I said, I'm not really a boxing fan. I mean, I liked boxing when Tyson was younger. At 53 years old, watching him, all the videos that they posted on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. You're like, wow, he can still hit hard.
Yeah.
But to me, yeah, I mean, come on, Nate Robinson. I mean,
Well, that's the thing.
now you're calling out other people. You're calling out a guy who's gonna clean your clock. I mean, come on, let's
Yeah.
let's not be stupid. Let's just take your victory. Say, hey, I'm 1-0 in the boxing ring, and go play golf and attack Tiger Woods or something.
Yeah, it's silly. I mean, and I guess he's 2-0. I guess he had a fight before that.
Oh,
But Nate Robinson was as amateur as you could ever get. He
yeah,
honestly, looking back, I know he was a professional athlete. He could have gotten seriously hurt, and I mean, he got
yeah,
knocked out.
yeah,
But Jake Paul, he's trying to get a big payday, which is why he's calling him out. But even Dana White said Conor McGregor is still in a point in his career where he doesn't need to do these celebrity
No.
fights. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, but Dana White said you can fight Amanda Nunes, who I
There you
think
go.
would knock him out.
Oh yes, I
But
think kill him.
yeah, and I don't think if they do the fight, he shouldn't get paid unless he can land a punch on Amanda Nunes. If he can't
Yeah.
land anything on her, he shouldn't get paid.
I think it should be a five. What is MMA's what normally 5 rounds, right? You got to survive.
I
You got to
believe so. Yeah.
survive one.
Yeah.
You got to make
Yeah.
it one whole round and land a couple punches. If you can't do that, you're done.
Yeah, because I mean, she has been so dominant in the women's division, and when Ronda Rousey was dominating it, it was a
Mhm.
newer division.
Yeah.
So someone like Amanda Nunes was going to eventually come around, and then we'd say, okay,
Yep.
maybe Ronda wasn't as great as we always thought she was at the time.
Right.
So something you might be happy about. I know you're a Bears fan, but I know you're not. I don't know if you hated Tom Brady. I don't know if you hate the Patriots.
I, I, I will not lie. I hated Tom Brady. Whatever team Tom Brady plays for, I dislike.
Okay, so Tom has now moved on. Are you
Yep.
happy to see the Patriots not making the playoffs for the first time since 2008?
No, I got to tell you, it's kind of sad because I was a huge Cam Newton fan. I loved Cam Newton. I just thought he was, I thought he was going to be the new prototypical quarterback. It sucks to see him suffer the way that he suffered in New England and the result of what's happened in New England. So when you look at it, that tells me, even though I don't like Tom Brady is what made New England successful. He was able to adapt to Bill Belichick's scheme. They had good communication. They had a great relationship, and he was able to do things as we're seeing that he can't do in Tampa Bay. Yeah, he's got Gronk down there, but he doesn't have Edelman. He doesn't have a bunch of the other supporting cast. So yeah, it's sad to see because here's a guy who signed a 1 year deal. It's probably going to be his only year. And then he's going to fade off into obscurity, and that's what he's going to be known for. Is he was the quarterback that took over for Tom Brady and failed.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say that Tom had a lot more talent than what this team has.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a lot around Cam. With that being said, though, you got to reach your receivers,
Mm-hmm.
and Cam struggles to make these passes that have to be made.
Yep.
I have supported him all season. I'll continue to support him. I'm not one of those people like I don't have a problem if he comes back. I don't
Right.
know who the next quarterback of this team is. But it's been a tough year, and the Patriots need to get better in general if they're
Yeah.
going to compete again, because that division is not what it was, what it's
No.
been. You
Yeah.
know, the teams got better. So, all right, now I got to ask you a question
Sure.
because there was quite this debate. I'm in this sports talk trash about sports page that you're supposed to. And I took liberties with Tom Brady saying he'll never come to the Northeast again or live here.
Yeah.
And Tampa Bay was playing the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I admittedly and never, ever denied this. I am a fan of Brett Favre.
Yeah.
I love Brett Favre. I'm a Patriots fan, but I do like other players on other teams, and Brett Favre was one of my guys.
Mm-hmm.
I took a picture and with a Vikings jersey and a Patriots hat saying, "Hey, Minnesota, you have my support today. Take down Tom Brady. Your winters are worse than ours." Right? And people shredded me. I mean, some of the things on there were borderline just offensive that I
Yeah.
won't even get into, but people were shredding me for wearing two different teams in a picture. Is
Whatever.
that what do you think of that? Can you not can you you have to be that much of a homer? You're not allowed to ever wear a different team's jersey?
No. No. I think that just goes to the it goes back to being childish. I mean, I'm a huge Bears fan. Everybody knows I'm a Bears fan. Um, but I have, believe it or not, worn a Patriots hat. I'm
Yeah.
also a huge ASU fan and a Nebraska Cornhuskers fan. So I think you can support. We should be able to support whoever we want. And
Yeah.
if people start shredding you for that, I mean, that just means that they're uninformed and they don't really know, they really don't know who you're about. I mean, because I know for a fact you bleed Patriots Nation. Period. End of story. I mean, they could be 0-16, and you're still going to be, flashing your belt and chugging, milk and doing all the things that you
Yeah.
do to support your team.
Yeah.
So yeah, that to me is just childish.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and it is a childish page, and and that is what it is. But I was like, you guys, they wanted to troll me so hard. I'm like, you missed the whole point of this post.
Yeah.
Like, So, anyways, I thought that was interesting. A little bit of nonsense, but whatever. Last part of sports, and this made my jaw drop on Sunday night because I didn't see it coming. Redskins, I've always kind of understood why that is offensive. Okay, why
Hmm.
someone could be offended by red skin. No one calls
Yep.
me white skin.
Yep.
But I didn't think the Indians was that offensive. But now I could just be wrong. But the Indians are changing their name, and I was a little surprised. Now, Chief Wahoo gone,
Yeah.
which I understood that logo would be offensive to some people. I did buy a bunch of those hats because they're not going to be made anymore because I grew
Yep.
up with that logo.
Hmm.
But they're changing the name. What do you think of this?
I it's a sad day. It's sad for the simple fact that we as a society we have become so kind want to be politically correct. You still have the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
Is that the next team? Are they gonna be on the chopping block? I mean, eh, I you know they've been around for so long. Why all of a sudden now? I mean, why all of a sudden now? I mean, you're right. I can understand the Washington Redskins. I get that, but the Cleveland Indians. I mean, I don't understand that. I was when I saw that too. I was like, are you kidding me? What are we coming down? I mean, what are we as a society becoming when we're going crazy over a baseball team name that me personally, I didn't see anything wrong with it. Maybe it's because I'm not an Indian. I don't know, or I'm not Native American. But I just think that at some point you just have to say, enough is enough. And are we true? Are we really? Are we doing it for the right reasons? Because
Yeah.
what's
No.
going to happen next? I mean, are they going to say the Chicago Bears or the Minnesota Vikings or the Green Bay Packers or the New England Patriots? Oh my, what if people started saying, I'm not a Patriot. I don't believe in that name. Could you
Yeah.
imagine the uproar in the Northeast if people started saying that?
Yeah. I mean, that'd be why I'm just
It blows
when
me away.
when you think of because the word Indian really comes from when they came here,
Hmm.
the explorers, whatever you want to say, they thought they were in India.
Yeah.
So they, I don't know. It's one of these things where I'm like, I just didn't think but I could be. I'm not a Native American, so I don't
Right.
know. I don't have, I have some in my DNA somewhere, but I don't have a lot of stakes in the game there.
Right.
But I was very shocked. I agree. The logo was much, and we'd had it for many many years. But I was very shocked.
Yeah. I was
I'm
blown away.
not sure. Now you change the name. Do you go with the natives? Do you go with like what could you, you know?
They're gonna, what they're gonna be known as the Washington football team. I think you're gonna get to the point where you're gonna have team names that's what it's gonna be. You have the Cleveland baseball team, and then you're gonna
Yeah.
have, as time goes on, you're gonna have the Atlanta baseball team, because whatever name you come up with, there's gonna be could be somebody somewhere that might find it offensive. So how do you make it non-offensive? You call them, okay, this is the Atlanta baseball team. That's what you're gonna get to, and I think it's sad.
Yeah, and the other thing with that too, because a lot of the headlines said the nickname of this team, and I'm like, that's not the nickname. That's their name.
Yeah.
That was the name of the team. And I know like the Chicago Blackhawks said in no circumstances will they ever change their name. They said this is a tribute to Native Americans.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe there is a tribe name that they use instead. I don't, because the Seminoles I don't think are offensive. I don't think people find that offensive either.
No,
So I don't know where the Braves fall. I don't think that is it's just it's I don't know.
we don't know. Yeah, that's the thing.
You know.
Because all it takes is one person now to be offended by something, and everything has to change.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Again, the Redskins, the Washington football team still does not have a team name. I don't know
No.
when they will or whatnot. But my jaw just kind of dropped.
Yeah.
I just did not see that coming.
Mm-mm.
All right, let's go to pop culture. A couple things here
Sure.
before we get into blank versus blank. I know you're kind of a wrestling guy. You watch it here and there, and you'd said
Mm-hmm.
you watch a little bit of AEW. The internet's been going nuts with AEW signing a 61-year-old Sting. Do you have any take on AEW bringing in Sting?
I think what they're trying to do is, you have a lot of legends in the AEW. You got Arn Anderson. They brought in Jake Roberts. Now they're bringing in Sting. I mean, so far the only thing we've seen Sting do is stand on a stage and wave his bat, and the announcers go crazy over it. Honestly, I think it was a good move. I mean, it draws viewership because people liked Sting and people liked Jake Roberts and people liked Arn Anderson, and when you bring in these icons from the past, it increases your viewership. And if they play the story right, like they're doing a great job with the Arn Anderson story. I mean, he's the American Nightmares, trainer, and then you have Jake Roberts in that beast that he's with. I mean, they're doing it right, and I think it's helping push them to where they want to be. Do I ever think they'll overtake WWE? I don't think so. I Vince McMahon has second most money in the world, so he's going to do whatever it takes not to lose that. But yeah, I like the idea. Do I want to see him wrestle? No, I do not want to see him wrestle. I want to see him doing what he's doing now, and instilling the fear in the other wrestlers. I just don't think a 61-year-old guy's got what it takes to take the bumps and to put on a great show. I think you could put on a decent show. I don't think it would be great.
Now, because a lot of that's been the internet's biggest thing was like people are like this is dumb, blah blah blah. And I was like, it's Sting. I grew up as a little Stinger myself,
Yeah.
So I was just happy to see him. But what would you say to Sting doing a tag match? These specialty one-off. Obviously, he should not be wrestling every week. Because I mean, he hasn't wrestled since he got thrown around by Seth Rollins that time. And that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But are you opposed to him doing small little parts in a match? Doesn't have to do a lot.
I think he should do like they did with Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson he's Cody. He's with Cody Rhodes. I think that's what he should do. And just like Jake Roberts is with that. I can't remember that guy's name, but I can see him.
Lance Archer.
Lance Archer. Give him an understudy. Give him somebody like that to work with. Maybe what? I think he'd be great with Darby Allin. Put him and
Yeah.
Darby Allin together and do it that way. Kind of like Taz. You have Team Taz, and just kind of do it that way. But don't put him in. I mean, yeah, if he did a tag match, it might be okay. But personally, I think they should just he should be somebody like that. More of a like a valet or a coach, or sell it that way.
Manager, yeah.
Stinger and Darby Allin are going to get together. That to me would be fantastic because I already like Darby Allin. I think he's fantastic. Puts on great shows. And you add a little bit of the Sting attitude in there, and yeah, I think that would work. And I think it would do what they're trying to do, and it would bring their viewership up because now you're doing these things with these icons that is fantastic.
Yeah, and I think and they're alluding to him going with Darby Allin, but I think some things I have read is why Sting wants to get. Now, I don't think a 61-year-old man should be doing this, and I know what Ric Flair has done, but Sting was very disappointed by the run that he had in WWE, and
Right.
and what he felt like his final stuff is not the way he wanted to go out.
Right.
So I think that's where it's tricky. Is you can't give him one more full match, but I think you could give him something.
Yeah,
depending.
yeah, but then like you said, it goes. If you brought up Ric Flair, if you watch those matches as Flair got older, he couldn't take the abuse that he took when he was younger, and they slowed the matches down. You could really see. We all know that it's choreographed, but you could really see the choreography more, and you know I guess he could if he did it like maybe in a 6-man tag team, where he got in there
Yeah,
got a couple hit, they beat the guy down a little bit, and he gets a couple hits. Do I want to see him do the stinger splash? There's no way I want to see that. I don't I
yeah,
would cry. But maybe get in there and
yeah.
muss around a little bit, sure. But yeah, I mean the other day
I
Jake
agree.
Roberts took a shot, and I felt bad for him because he looked like he was gonna go down hard, and we all know Jake Roberts has had a tough life, so it's like yeah, you know it might work. I just hope that you know that he is doing it to and it doesn't ruin his legacy. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. And I will just one last point I want to make because I talked about this last week. I had Sonny Goodspeed on the show, who's a former professional wrestler, local, and we kind of talked about. I said, a lot of people say Ric Flair ruined his legacy, but I think a lot of what Rick did at the end is not going to be what's remembered. They're going to remember
No.
Ric Flair from the '80s,
Oh
50
yeah.
years from now.
Oh
You know,
yeah. Styling and profiling.
yeah. The actor that played Boba Fett, Jeremy Bulloch, has passed away at 75. Were you a Star Wars? Are you a Star Wars guy? Did you like
I
Star Wars?
have seen every Star Wars movie, and I am watching The Mandalorian right now. And when I saw that, it made me very sad because Boba Fett was actually one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
I I like I like movies where you have he doesn't have a lot of dialogue, and he just went out and kicked butt and took names, and that's what I like.
Yeah, I mean, Boba Fett he took on a life of his own because he had just this like cult following.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite lines in Star Wars is that they're at the pit of Tarkoon and Return of Jedi, and so Han Solo can't see yet, and he goes Boba Fett, like the way he said it, like it just was
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so our rest in peace. At 75, lived a decent life there. But yeah, a lot of the original Star Wars cast is unfortunately passing away. So
Yeah, that's crazy too. Because
um,
that's what I grew up on.
yeah, it's same here. I mean, obviously I was younger, but I mean, when I was little, my parents like you need to watch these movies. Your
Yep.
kids will like these movies,
Somewhere
and
in my house, I have the 3 set VHS of the first 3 Star Wars movies.
oh
Somewhere.
yeah, with the proper ending for Return of the Jedi. That pissed
Yes.
me off. The music changed, and I bought the DVD set in 04, and I was like, George Lucas, you son of a bitch. like, you
Yep.
know. Now I don't want to go too far into this, but did the last 3 piss you off as much as they pissed me off?
Yes. I'm a truist. I love the first 3 movies for me are my absolute most favorite. Um, I understand the need, for the rest of them, but the first 3 are ultimately. If I had a choice of which ones I would watch for the rest of my life, it would be the first 3,
Agreed. Yep.
over and over and over again, no doubt about
And for everybody that may watch this, oh, he means the prequels. No, the original trilogy.
it.
The other things were extra.
Yes.
Um, did you watch? Were you into the Revenge of the Nerds in the '80s at all?
Nerd, yes.
So I read that there's talk of a reboot or redoing those movies. I don't think they can get away with a lot of things that they did
No.
in the Revenge of the Nerds now. you know?
No, and no, and that's sad. I mean, we've gotten to the point in Hollywood where they're going and rebooting stuff, and there's some things they should never reboot, and that's one of
Yeah.
them. Those are classic, hilarious, over the top movies. It would be like if they tried to reboot Animal House. There's no
Yeah.
way
Oh, you
in today's society that you
do
could
not
do
touch
that.
that movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I
just
agree.
let the legacy. I mean, nerd. I know that the nerd movies have a huge following. I love them personally. Um, yeah, I just leave them alone. Let them be done. Let Booger rest in peace.
I have seen a few times the websites have come out and they're like, this is everything wrong with these movies and blah, and they're redoing it now. It's like, okay, we get it. Comedy has changed and things like
Yeah.
that. And there's certain things, but like, let it be what it was for the time and just
Yeah.
let it be.
Exactly. You're right. At
You
that
know?
time, in that time in the world, that was okay. Now, not okay. Now, could you imagine if they tried to remake uh, All in the Family?
Oh yeah,
There's no way. Some of the stuff that
yeah.
Archie Bunker said, there's no way you could get away. There's no way. It wouldn't. Be, it wouldn't. You wouldn't get past one episode.
And you know what? When you bring up All in the Family, they knew what they were doing. That was the whole point of the show. It
Yeah.
wasn't, but people today, context and understanding what a show is, sometimes people don't get it.
Yeah.
The actor that played Archie Bunker was nothing like that, and he knew what that character, and he was trying to say this is how you should not be. But
Exactly.
it's even people today when they say, Steve Carell to come out and go, yeah, I don't even know if I could do The Office right now.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Again, jokes that were
Yeah.
that was the point, the irony and how
Yes.
stupid, and so yeah, no, I get it, and the internet doesn't help. So
No, it does
um
not.
all right, it's going to take us into my favorite segment of the show, blank versus blank. You know the drill here, Rich. You've been a former guest. First one. Now, I don't know. I was just in the mood to know your take on this. Fleetwood Mac, which obviously has seen
Resurrection.
yeah,
Yep.
which I've always loved Fleetwood Mac, but one guy does the video and everybody goes nuts and they want to listen to it again. Or Queen.
Uh, Queen. Hands down.
Yeah. All
Even
right.
Queen now with Adam Lambert. Uh,
Yeah.
it to me is when they picked Adam Lambert because we watched him on whatever show he was on, and you know
Yeah.
that to me, uh, Queen is there. There's nobody out there that can make music like that. Nobody. I mean, he just. I watched his. I watched the biography finally, and it was. He was just so powerful. There's just no way. Queen all day.
Yeah. I will say probably because I've said on another podcast I thought Queen was debatably the best band ever. Now I kind of went with that because someone already said the Beatles, and I was like, well, I don't want to say the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but my favorite out of everybody there would be Freddie Mercury. But I think like when I get down to it, I probably listen to more Fleetwood Mac songs over and over than I do Queen.
Right.
So, yeah. But all right, here's another one. One guy just retired after a very lengthy career, The Undertaker.
Yep.
Now, obviously, his lasting in the business, huge. But another guy that's iconic now, he's run into some trouble over the years. But Undertaker or Hulk Hogan?
I'm gonna say Hulk Hogan. I was a when the, to this day, I don't think there's anybody that could motivate a crowd and get a crowd so swept up as Hulk Hogan. Even the people that
Yeah.
didn't like him, when his music came on and he's walking to the ring, people just were in awe of him. I loved the Undertaker. I thought the Undertaker was fantastic. I did not like the Undertaker as the American Badass. I thought that was kind of lame. I'm glad he went back to being the Undertaker, but yeah, to me it's Hulk Hogan. Even when he was in when they did the NWO, just something about him. He was an ultimate performer. He could spin a promo like nobody's business. He had a great in ring presence. And when he started shaking and doing his
Yeah.
thing, there was nothing like
Hulking
it. I
up.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
when the Undertaker, he'd get speared and then he'd sit up. Yeah, that was cool. But when Hulk Hogan would just start doing that, crazy thing and then bouncing off it, yeah, I'll say Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to. I mean, I remember. I mean, I was a little Hulkamaniac as a kid, and I will say, cool story too. At my brother's wedding, my older brother's wedding, I came out to the Hulk Hogan theme, which was fun.
There you go.
Uh, uh, now, two teams. Now, two teams you're a big fan of. You're a Chicago Bears fan,
Yep.
but you're also a New York Mets fan.
Yep.
And actually, like you said last time on the show, that you even got you re-enlisted
Yep.
at a
At
Met
Shea
team.
Stadium, I did.
One goes away. Bears or Mets? What are you keeping?
Keeping the Mets
All right. Okay.
because I am a die hard through and through baseball fan.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I agree. I've had to have, Red Sox or Patriots, and as much as I love the Patriots, which obviously love, I mean, I can remember the first time laying eyes on Fenway Park, and that is a memory. I was like 7
Yeah,
years old that I will never forget.
we
The
did that
first
2
time,
years ago.
you know.
We went to
Yeah.
our first and only Red Sox game 2 years ago at Fenway, and walking into Fenway was so awesome. You just felt all the, like I've been some pretty cool places. I've been to the Vatican and stuff. You just felt the power in there, of that park, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. Nothing like it. Nothing like
Nope.
it.
Hold on.
All right. Now, yeah.
You're no.
Yeah. Oh,
My dog wants to go outside, so
we're
gotta hold
almost
on.
done. Let them know. All right. Now, Biden won the election, but he had some competition. I'm curious what your take is on this as a Republican. Are you happy it's Biden? Because if it would have been Bernie, it would have been a little bit different. So you got to pick one, Biden or Bernie.
Biden.
Yeah. So I figured that's where you're gonna you would go
Yeah,
with it.
that was
You know,
easy.
I don't see a lot changing. Like myself under Biden, obviously the tone of things. But next one, 2020 or any other year ever. You got to pick a year.
Any other year but 2020, buddy.
Yeah.
2020's been a rough year.
It has. No, definitely. I would pick probably any other year in my life.
Yeah.
All right. You run these tournaments, but you can only keep one. The cold turkey or the Heartbreakers tournament.
Cold turkey, because that's our charity tournament, and that's where we have the opportunity as a softball community to give back to those that are less fortunate than we are. And
That's
I would do
yeah.
that. I when Steve and I first talked about this, and he said, hey, this is the idea I have. I fell in love with it because it is
Yeah.
a way for our community. Yeah, it's not a big community. I mean, we had 24 teams this year, but it's a way to give back, and it's a way for people to give back and help those out. I mean, I love it because people are so giving. I mean, we had we had teams. Some team, we asked for 175. We had some teams give over 400, non-perishable food items. I mean, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. I mean, I know, the families in transition, they get help from Linda and they get help from all these other places. But to me, it's just about giving back and about how our community is, our softball community is so in line with that, so ready to okay, we raised the number again, from 150 last year to 175. Nobody barked about it, nobody complained about it. They're like, all right, let's go, let's do it. And that's what I like.
Yeah, I would say that's the best part of that tournament is raising and giving back, and
Yeah.
that's awesome. Um, Last question. These two run the My Social Sports, and one of them's been running it for a long time. Now, I'm not talking the higher ups who own it.
Hmm.
There's two guys that run it, and you got Steve, and Steve came in a little later, but Elijah's been there forever.
Hmm.
One's got to go. Who are you keeping, Steve or Elijah?
I
Hardest
am
question in blank versus blank.
I'm gonna go with my brother Steve. We have I like Elijah. Elijah's a great
Yeah, I
great individual.
mean,
He's great for the company, but Steve and I have a really, we have a very deep bond. We're both veterans. We both love the sport. We work very well together. Um, so I would have to say Steve. And I'm sorry, Elijah, but Steve's my brother. Sorry.
and fair enough though. Steve should get a little bit of credit here as they were at like this kind. He kind of helped it
Yeah.
progress. They weren't doing tournaments like that. I don't believe
No.
until he came around. So he
Nope.
started trying to come up with more unique ideas.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's commendable of it. He did do me a favor one time, and when the Merrimack League still existed, my buddy Jimmy had passed away unexpectedly,
Yeah.
and Steve was more than willing to name the cup after him because everybody knew him in the league. So keep
Yep.
doing what you're doing, Steve. You do a good job.
Yep.
But Rich, really appreciate you coming back on.
You
This
bet,
has been
buddy.
fun again. We'll have you
Always.
back, for sure. Um,
Anytime.
so and we got to get you in the studio at some point. Now that we
Yeah,
have
I know.
snow and everything else, but hopefully we can get you in there.
Yeah.
But everybody, continue to keep your heads up. Wear your mask. It's mandated now.
Yep.
But until next time, let freedom ring.
Bet. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yep.